Now I'm going to fold my coffee filter, and I'm going to push the two folds together. Use the side of my fingers where the fingernail is to just at work, just really push to make sure that's a really, really good fold. I'll do the same thing one more time. So when we are opening this one up, it's going to be much harder to see, and you're going to have to really look. So there's 8 lines. You can see them there when it's opening up, but once you start drawing it, they like to fade. So if you're drawing it, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go from the center on out. I can see a fold line right there. And I'm just going to follow that to the edge. And I'm going to do another one here. And already the others are getting hard to see. I'll do a couple of them that I can still see. Yep, I'm already having a hard time seeing them. So what I want to be able to do is fold it back up and crease my lines again. I can still see that one. I'm going to go ahead and, oops, not quite straight, but that's okay. So I'm going to fold this back up and push all my lines back down again. Okay. All right, now I can see them again. And it's just because of the fiber weave that is on the coffee filter. So you got to do that as many times as you need so that you can see your edges, your lines, so that you can draw them. All right, so you may have as many of these as you want, and they can have loads of different designs. Now this one, what I was trying to do is copy the same thing in each one of these. That's like a slice of pizza. If you're going to do radial symmetry, you want to do a mirror effect, but that's going to be up to you. If you want to have something be in one side and then reflected on another, let's say you're going to have a line go up, then you want to have it curve back down. So that's up to you if you want to do it. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to do a curve like a scallop line. And I'm going to repeat that. Let's go from my 2 spaces here. And here's another one. Do another scallop line. And I'm just turning my paper instead of turning myself. So I can turn it and just get different parts. And there we go. And then I'm going to, I think I'll come on up here and make some lines for my snowflake. I'll go on up here and make my lines. And I'm going to go ahead and let these lines touch. So yours does not have to look like mine. Maybe you have some shapes you want to do. Maybe you want to do something that's more geometric with lots of shapes that you're good at. So you want to have some rectangles in there. This is a drawing project this time instead of a cutting craft. So we'll have one of each. We'll have a drawing thing and a craft project together. They're very similar processes. Okay. And this one's going to be a little big. All right. So there's my nice sort of a flower pattern. And I think I'll join my line back up here. Now markers and watercolor pencils are what work best on coffee filters. You can use watercolor paints. I have some nice watercolor paints that I got in an art set that I could use. But I'm not going to worry about that. And when I'm making these, I'm just going to go around the edges a little bit and let the marker fill in when I get it wet, because I know that it's going to do that from the spreading that's going on with these over here in the corner. I mean, they are very, very spread out with that color. Looks great. So I'm going to do every other one to give myself some radial symmetry. Just going to go around my edges mostly, fill in a little. Now, if you have to do this on regular paper, let me show you how you would do that. You would want to take a circular object and cut your paper out. So if you don't have coffee filters, don't worry, you can do this on regular paper, but it's not going to spread as much. So you want to get closest to your edges. So this is what you would want to do on regular paper, so that it will spread a little. There's a piece of scrap here. So it will spread a little bit. So if this is your shape, you want to try to get the marker in there so that when you spread the water, it'll fill in a little. It'll give you a nice echo of the color, and it looks really soft. Okay, so I've got every other one of those are blue. I'm going to stick to my cool color, so I'm going to use my purple. Don't need too much. And I don't need to worry about what my lines look like because I remember that it's going to spread around. And cool colors look really, really nice on these. But if you want to use the whole rainbow, you go right ahead and do that so that your snowflakes look the way that you want them to. Okay, so I think I'm going to use some green on the inside. I think I'm just going to go from the inside on it out. Some green because I love green. And this is a great time that if you have gems or if you have any kind of like leftover stuff like glitter and things like that that you want to use, those are always fun to add to these. Just make sure it's dry. So I'm adding some green around my outer part of my snowflake. So these can get as complicated as you want. You could go in all kinds of different directions. You just want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you either copy it exactly or as close to exact as you can do. I didn't do mine exact. So you want to get close to copying it or doing a mirror image so that you will have symmetry or radial symmetry, either one. And then I'm going to get a new plastic bag here. Put this on. And with a brush, so that you can see what happens with regular paper. When you spread it, it's not going to spread a whole lot, but it still looks really nice and it fills in and it can go a little bit on the outside. I mean, this is paint. It just doesn't work like we usually expect. It just does its own kind of thing. So those are sort of the effects you can have if you have to use regular or plain paper for this project and you don't have a coffee filter. So not a problem. They still look really nice just on regular paper. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this. And let it sit. So while those are drying, make sure that you find something else to do and you leave them alone so that the colors will spread on out. If you see that something is not spreading the way that you think it should and that you should get a little bit more water, just use a small brush to get in there. Don't worry about it if it's not spreading right away. Like you can speed it up here, but I wouldn't do that because you could actually ruin your brush. I'm just going over it. I'm not touching the coffee filter here. But if you think you see something that needs a little touch up, you can go ahead and do that and add some water. I think this is looking great already. I'm already seeing how the colors are blending together. And I'm going to go ahead and clean up and let my papers completely dry. So we'll come back and see what we got.